Have you ever wondered why golf is one of the most popular sports in America? Hi everyone, Ken here. We've got a hole-in-one for you today as we set out to Southampton to uncover Ballyshear, the Long Island estate of Charles Blair Macdonald. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. This video is brought to you in part by Victorian Society in America. More on them later. Charles B. Macdonald's road to fame and fortune was as fascinating as any rags-to-riches American dream story. Born in 1855 to a Scottish father and Canadian mother in Niagara Falls, Ontario, young Charles was sent to St Andrews University in Scotland at age 16. There, living in the shadow of the old course at St Andrews, he learned golf under the tutelage of legendary Old Tom Morris. Macdonald returned to the United States brimming with golfing fervor, but first he needed to make his mark in business. Settling in Chicago in the 1870s, he became a successful stockbroker in the booming Gilded Age markets. By 1900, Macdonald's financial acumen had carried him to New York, where he joined the Wall Street brokerage firm of Zeete Barney, a predecessor of today's Morgan Stanley. This career provided Macdonald with considerable wealth, the kind of fortune that would later bankroll his extravagant home. But perhaps that's getting a bit ahead. Macdonald's true passion was golf, a sport still foreign to most Americans in the late 19th century. In the 1890s, he emerged as a pivotal figure in U.S. golf history. He co-founded the Chicago Golf Club in 1892, establishing the first 18-hole course in the nation, and a few years later, he became the first U.S. amateur champion in 1895. Equally important, he helped found the United States Golf Association in 1894 to standardize the emerging sport. By the turn of the century, Charles Macdonald was celebrated as the father of American golf architecture, a title earned by his role in designing a series of influential courses. Ever ambitious, he scoured the East Coast for the perfect site to build a world-class course that would emulate the Great Links of Britain. Macdonald found his field of dreams on Long Island. In 1906, he identified an ideal seaside expanse near Southampton, an area of affluent summer colonies and gentle dunes reminiscent of Scottish linksland. There he founded the National Golf Links of America, gathering a syndicate of 70 investors to purchase land and open the course by 1909. NGLA was a triumph, a living showcase of classic golf holes Macdonald had studied abroad, and it would soon host the inaugural Walker Cup in 1922. Flush with success, Macdonald was now not only a sports hero, but a man of substantial means and social standing. It was at the zenith of prominence and prosperity that he turned to constructing his ultimate personal haven, a lavish country estate that would reflect both his wealth and his sporting legacy. Macdonald's Southampton estate, which he christened Ballyshear, was nothing short of a monument to the heir's opulence and to his own life's passions. The very name Ballyshear held personal significance. It was borrowed from Macdonald's grandfather's estate in Scotland, an homage to his family heritage. Construction began around 1910, just as NGLA was taking shape across the water, and by 1913, the great house was completed. Macdonald had engaged architect F. Burrell Hoffman Jr. to design the residence, and the result was a stately Georgian Revival manor of red brick, limestone, and perfectly balanced proportions. From the outside, Ballyshear presented a picture of disciplined elegance. Hoffman's design emphasized symmetry and fine classical details. A graceful balustraded terrace ran along the length of the house, its stone cap lending a strong horizontal line that visually tied the structure to the landscape. Just off to the side, the formal gardens were planned to spill out, framing the perfectly manicured lawn with a crown of trees in the backdrop. Following the path towards the garden gate, we can explore more of the property. First, we'll find the grass tennis courts, designed to rival those of the finest country clubs in the world. And a bit further away, kept out of sight from guests, are the greenhouses and garage. Getting back to the beaten path, we'll make our way through the rose garden, an intersection of sorts for traversing the grounds. We can now see the main house again, emerging beyond the thick layers of gardens. We can head up to the terrace to turn around, seeing the lawn that set the standard for every golf course of the era. Returning back to the house, we'll make our way towards the entrance, but before we head inside, a quick word about the sponsor of today's video, Victorian Society in America. Are you captivated by historic architecture? Want to explore, learn, and dive even deeper into the past? With the Victorian Society in America, you'll have the chance to travel to American cities and tour stunning 19th century buildings, pursue learning through internationally acclaimed summer programs in American cities and abroad, including Chicago, Newport, and London to name a few. Additionally, members will enjoy a free subscription to 19th Century, the semi-annual publication packed with articles on art, architecture, preservation awards, and book reviews. Visit the website below in the video description and become part of the Victorian Society in America today. Thank you Victorian Society in America for sponsoring today's video. Now back to our tour. Let's take a quick look at the floor plan to orient ourselves just before we swing open the front door and begin exploring the 22,000 square foot mansion. Inside, Ballyshear was the epitome of Edwardian luxury, crafted for comfort and high society gatherings. Visitors entering the front door would find themselves in a magnificent entrance hall floored in a checkerboard of black and white marble, a design choice as stylish then as it remains today. At one end, we'll find the living room, clad in birch paneling and draped with red brocade, and spanning from the front to the rear of the house. This room opens into the conservatory, where the French doors can be opened and the screen doors left closed to allow for seasonal enjoyment of fresh air without pest. From here we'll cut back across the drawing room to find the library centered on the rear of the house with a massive bay window where Charles could look out over his lawn. As we scan the leather-bound volumes resting on his built-in bookshelves, we'll head below the buffalo's head to uncover the next space. This leads us to the dining room, finished out with painted wall panels and an elaborate plaster frieze. Of special note, the dining room was designed to be more reminiscent of a traditional Scottish dining room rather than the ever-evolving American dining rooms of the era. The creation of Ballyshear solidified Macdonald's status among the elite. Here he was, a self-made Wall Street tycoon and golf champion, living in a mansion that rivaled the finest estates of Long Island's Gold Coast, one that set the standards for country clubs nationwide. As he moved into his later years, Macdonald gradually stepped back from active course design, but he remained a revered figure in the sport. In 1928, at the age of 72, he published Scotland's Gift, Golf, a part memoir, part history book in which he recounted the spread of golf in the United States, not shy about highlighting his own central role. Intriguingly, it appears that Charles Macdonald did not spend all his twilight years at Ballyshear. By the mid-1920s, he was in his 70s and perhaps found the upkeep of a large estate burdensome or simply had different priorities. Either way, the estate was put on the market and changed hands. He passed away in April of 1939 at the age of 83, long enough to see the seeds he planted grow into a coast-to-coast American golf culture. And we all know that golf is just as popular now as ever, but what became of Ballyshear? The mansion's story did not end with Macdonald's occupancy. In fact, Ballyshear went on to have a long and eventful life of its own. Around 1923, Charles E. Van Vleck purchased Ballyshear, becoming its second owner. Van Vleck's tenure marked a new chapter for the estate, one that saw changes in its landscape design to suit the new owner's taste. The formal gardens were redesigned in the late 1920s by Annette Hoyt Flanders, a leading landscape architect at the time. In addition, the rooms were largely refreshed, with the living room getting a complete makeover. This era even saw wood paneling being painted over in the library to adhere with the new norms. Thankfully, not much changed in the entrance hall, which had always intended to have painted millwork paired with the timeless checkered marble floors. As time marched on, the era of Gilded Age Long Island estates gave way to new realities. By the post-World War II period, many vast properties were being broken up or sold off as maintenance grew costly. Thankfully, that was not the case for Ballyshear, which went on to change hands a few more times. In 2011, Ballyshear made headlines once again when it was purchased by a former New York City mayor and billionaire. The entrance hall today appears almost exactly as it did back then, and you'll be happy to know that the paint was removed from the library's wood paneling. So I'll leave you with this: the next time you see a beautiful golf course with a stately clubhouse, think back on Ballyshear, the estate that set the standard worldwide. As always, let me know your thoughts on Ballyshear down below in the comments section. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to Victorian Society in America for sponsoring this video. Check out their link in the video description to learn how you can get involved today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time on This House.